Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today, I'm taking more of your questions in another segment of Ask Judy. If you are enjoying these, please do hit like and subscribe. If you want to know when I'm going to be posting another one, hit that notification bell. I have a question here from Sandpiper22, who said, I grew up in the 70s too, and I would love to hear some of your favorite 70s memories. I didn't know it at the time, but it was one of the best decades of my life. Very fun and carefree. The 70s. Well, I can't help but connect the 70s with the time I spent doing the Waltons. We started The Homecoming in 1971 and the series in 1972. So most of my 70s memories are linked to the wonderful time I spent filming the Waltons and being part of my on and off screen TV family. So 70s, the music, I love so much of the music from the 70s. That was when I first started sort of collecting music. My very first album I bought was Carole King's Tapestry. And then there were so many bands that I remember listening to, from the Guess Who to Crosby, Stills and Nash, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Bread, Blood, Sweat and Tears, just so many wonderful bands from that period of time. I remember going to school dances and dancing to Three Dog Night's Joy to the World. So just wonderful, wonderful memories of things like that. Going to roller skate. Roller skating was very big in starting in the 70s and then into the 80s, but I remember going to roller rinks with friends, doing that, hanging out with friends, going to the movies, because I was going through my teen years, through the early and middle 70s. There was those sorts of memories with my castmates as well as my own personal friends, sleepovers and girl talk and shopping and learning to drive, and then finally having my license and going out with my girlfriends, being able to drive without a parent in the car. So there was, I think, still an innocence to that era that was very sweet. So I hope your memories are similarly full of joy. William asked, I was wondering if you could mention any hobbies, interests, or hidden talents you and your fellow castmates pursued when not on the set. Things that just came to mind initially were, for Mary McDonough, she studied dance for many years and continued to take classes through at least the beginning period of the Waltons. And Eric and Joe Conley, who played Ike Godsey, the two of them put together a little song and dance routine, and they went out and performed at state fairs and different venues like that. So clearly they spent time together rehearsing and putting all that together. So I think that was a lot of fun for them. David Harper, who played Jim Bob, was a real Civil War buff and a history buff. I remember when the movie Gettysburg came out. It was such a heavily dramatic movie. I remember being incredibly taken by it. And when I went back to the studio the next time after having seen it, David was the first person I went to, because I knew that he would share the circumstances and what was true about that battle and the various different regiments and things involved with it, particularly Pickett's cavalry unit, which was just heartbreaking to me, being a horse person. So that was something that I remember sharing with David. And then Cammie. Cammie's parents were USC alumni, so they were very involved in particularly the USC football games. I remember Cammie constantly talking, to a point sometimes where I found it a little annoying, but just in the way that teenagers can. I don't have an interest in football, so I don't really want to hear about that. And you're going on and on about USC. And I had no connection to USC, but I believe that they attended a lot of games and certainly watched them on TV. So I remember that aspect from Cammie when she was young. John Walmsley, of course, music. his hobbies predominantly focused around music. I do remember going to a Stephen Stills concert at the Hollywood Bowl with John Walmsley. I think I was maybe 15, because I don't think I could drive, and John drove, and we went together to the Hollywood Bowl to see Stephen Stills. So I think music was a huge focus for him, offset and away from the show. For me, it was pretty much sports. I started riding horses, jumping horses during the series. I started playing a little bit of tennis because I did some celebrity tennis tournaments. And at some point with the roller skating, I started training with a roller derby team. So sports were kind of my big interests away from the set, as well as that was when I started learning to sing. I started taking lessons. I'd always loved to sing, but I couldn't carry a tune very well. And when I found that out when I was about 16, I was devastated and found myself a voice teacher and started studying singing because I really wanted to do musical theater. So that was my little hidden thing, because I didn't dare say it to anybody because I knew I wasn't good enough at that point. So there you go. Those are some of my memories of people's interests, hobbies, and hidden talents. A comment here from Celeste, who said, "It's fascinating hearing about talking to someone who isn't standing in front of you or in your line of vision and making it look so authentic. It's really a testament to how good an actor is, especially young children, that they can do it so well that the audience has no idea the actor is talking to the air." Yeah, that is always interesting when you hear a voice coming from someplace else and yet your vision is here, but there really isn't anything for you to look at besides a post or the side of the camera or something. I found it interesting the few times. I haven't worked a lot with blue screen, green screen. It used to be blue screen, now it's green screen. I'm not sure why that changed, but a few times I have worked with it. I remember in particular working on Stargate SG-1, and I got a kick out of going through the Stargate because all there was the actual set piece that was the big ring, but all that sort of sense of illusion of walking through something, that was all put in by computer later on. So all we really did was walk through this ring. So there was nothing there but to have to imagine that there was, and to have an uncertainty about, as someone who wasn't a member of the team, but an outsider who was going through that Stargate, to not have the trust of what it was going to be like to walk through this other dimension. So that was kind of fun to create. A question from Joyce. "I was wondering if you ever watch yourself acting and are satisfied with your finished job, or are there words or actions you don't like and would change if you could? In my opinion, you always did excellent and always looked great. For me, it's a bit hard to see all the kids grown up and then go back to see when you were all so little again. Fun though." Yeah, that's an interesting thing, to be looking back on these episodes from when I was a teenager. So that's kind of fun, and yet odd at times, that it's like, wow, yeah, I was so young and I look different, and that was something that would happen for me sometimes when I originally watched episodes. My first reactions might be more to how I looked, because I'm seeing how something was shot, and maybe I don't think the camera angle was the most flattering angle on me, and I might be like, oh, I look like I have baby fat, or so I could get a little hung up sometimes on that as an initial thing, not particularly liking the way I looked on camera. But then after I watched it once or twice, then I could start looking at just the work. And particularly when I go back and look at it, I'm able to focus a bit more on the work and some things that I might initially have thought, oh, I wish that had gone differently. Maybe I didn't feel it was as strong as I thought it was when I was actually filming, so maybe I'm disappointed in something. When I go back and look at it now, oftentimes I feel like it worked better than I maybe gave myself credit for at the time, because I can be very particular about how I would like something to play, and if it doesn't quite hit it the way I had in mind, then sometimes I'm a bit disappointed. That's what I have for you for this segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons Ask Judy. If you have questions, put them in the comments below and I grab questions from there. I'll see you next time on more Behind the Scenes of the Waltons and more Ask Judy. Thanks for watching.